Hi, so I thought today we'd do a quick sketchbook tour of most of the things that I did during February. It's not everything. I did a lot of gesture work, a lot of figure work, a lot of things that I don't think I can really share on YouTube, unfortunately. But I did lots of other things as well, so it's a small collection of those things. I'll say small, probably like 100 pages. So I won't dilly-dally. I'll try and get through them as quickly as I can, and try and tell you a little bit about them as I go. So this is a study page. These are all model references from the Croquet Cafe. It was a very study heavy month, February, from what I remember of it. We are in halfway through March now. I was doing a lot more watercolours as well, trying to experiment doing gestures with watercolours. So these are 1 to 2 minute gestures. So as you can see, there's not an awful lot of detail. But just trying to get the form, trying to get the pose, the energy, you know, that sort of thing. Here's another one, I think it's a 5 minute pose. And again, more not trying to necessarily do something realistic, but trying to play with colour as well as, you know, the pose. Here's a self-portrait. So something else I was trying to do a little bit more of this month, that as in February, was using my own references a little bit more for studies. It just feels better. I've said before, you know, ad nauseum probably. It just feels better to use my own references, so I look back on things. So yeah, that was the start of that. It's not something that I managed to do an awful lot of. Oh, hang on. We're caught up. I'm certainly doing more of that, more self-portraits and own reference stuff this month in March, but I was certainly thinking about it in February. So again, some Croquet Cafe. It was they have this thing called Figuary, where it's 15-20 minute video per day throughout February, where they give you like 1 minute, 2 minute, sometimes 15-second gestures, 5 minute gestures. The model does poses, you have to try and do what you can, sort of thing. But during Figuary, I was trying to I was trying to experiment more, not just use my pens like I normally do, but like I showed before, use watercolour. This is watercolour pencils, and also try and create something that feels not necessarily more finished, but more established, more deep, I suppose, with colour, adding textures. I remember not being too happy with these, you know, but it's all good practice. Same goes with this. I remember not being very happy with the actual likenesses, but then adding the colour and then adding extra layers on top of it. I kind of like that page now. Sometimes goes to show that you shouldn't just reject things straight away. But on top of, I was doing so much figure, like I say, there's lots of things that I'm not sharing here, that I was starting to get a bit fatigued by it. So I did start to look for other things to draw, focused in a little bit on anatomy and a little bit on portraiture, on top of also did a few more nature things, as you'll see. So some teeth and some hair. Again, these are all studies, so they're all from reference. And some eyes. So just trying to hone in a little bit on certain things instead of just doing the whole face or the whole body or whatever. Some noses and mouths. And then these are 15-second gestures, so very quick, very loose. Just for me, it's a case of getting the not only the rhythm lines, I think people call them, but also the silhouette, because I work a lot with line. I do, tend to think in that sort of way. So they're more silhouettes than gestures, I feel. But it's all just words and definitions at the end of the day. So yeah, I think these are 1 minute gestures. There's a tool on Croquet Cafe where they just fire out every minute. They'll fire out a new image. So it was just a case of trying to see what's important about that pose, try and capture it the best that I can within that time. Often sort of taking a break and having a few seconds to look at it as well, not necessarily just rushing. It's not supposed to be some sort of stressful thing, I don't think. But then I got fed up of drawing people in their birthday suits, that I wanted to draw people in clothing, so moved away from Croquet Cafe for a day or two outside of February and did some clothed studies to varying degrees. And then I moved over to animals. It's funny, when I was a child, all I used to draw was animals and dinosaurs. I mean, they're the same thing, essentially. But it seems to be that I have stopped doing that as a teenager. I sort of stopped doing animals as much, but I adore animals. I should really draw more of them. Alive ones, not just their skulls. But I love drawing skulls as well. It seems a bit macabre, but there's something quite ornate and interesting, and there's a lot of gravity in a skull. This is me trying to do some gesture / quick silhouettes of my cat, Binny, who I'm surprised hasn't turned up. Usually when I start doing these, she starts meowing, doesn't she? But yeah, I took a video of her maybe a year or two ago, because it's something I've done before this. So yeah, I had and there was some videos of Mouse on there as well, the cat who I had, who unfortunately passed away nearly 2 years ago. So it was nice to do that. I keep thinking I want to, something I do every now and again, I go through my old photos of the cats and try and draw them all just to get better at drawing cats. And animals in general, because I suppose, once you can draw a cat, the body's not too dissimilar to a dog, to a deer, they're all relatively, most mammals are kind of similar. Some rodents, these are from Pinterest. And some horses. I found that I used to hate drawing horses, but I quite like drawing them now. I mean, this one looks a bit strange because it's a bit lopsided. But yeah, I feel like I should draw more horses. There's a field just down the road, not to sound like an old man, but there's a field just down the road that has horses in it. And I do occasionally take photos of them, so I should use them more. But these are from Pinterest. Oh, here she is, Speak of the cat. You're right. She's just laying down. Also, hopefully this isn't too distracting. The window, it's quite a sunny day, and the window's got that horrible LED effect on it. If I could afford to change it, I would. But so it does leave a pattern on the table. I tend to try and do these videos on duller days, but I'm thankful for the sun, if I can get my words out. It's a nice sunny day, so it's whatever, isn't it? Don't really matter. I'm waffling. Some birds, again from Pinterest. Some skulls from Pinterest. Human skulls. And then I was, again, doing so much things that I can't really share, like I keep saying, but so many figure watercolours. But I hadn't really practiced doing any still life or any other subjects. So I thought I'd do some boots. I used to have some boots like this. These are again just from the internet, a reference. But yeah, the shoes I find really hard. And again, it's something I should draw more of. And then some animals again from Pinterest. Now I feel like this eye is the best thing I've ever done. It's such a funny thing to say, but there's just something about it. I just really like it. Maybe it's that I like orange. You can probably tell. And I like pigeons. I feel like poor pigeon, gets a bad rap. I'm sorry, I've not talked all morning, so I've got a bit of a cough. Anyway, so here's some of the clothed gestures. They had a couple of days where Figuary did a few clothing videos. Now for me, this is my favourite page of the month. Even though it's a bit wonkums when it comes to the car, it is a bit on a strange. But again, I'd try and lean into those things a little bit. And it's my granddad's car. So my granddad passed away around COVID, and he's not someone that I knew. I don't feel like I knew him very well, even though we lived relatively close. He used to scare me a little bit, to be honest. He was sort of like this little angry Hungarian man. But he had a lot of love for flowers and for nature. I remember for a long time he was breeding large snails for some reason in his greenhouse, and he'd tell me all about them. But anyway, it is so my auntie now owns his house, but they've still got his car. It's got really dilapidated. I mean, I think it was a wreck even when he was alive. I think it must be from like the 60s or 70s or something. Anyway, so I drew that, and then a few years ago I did a sketchbook that I really like, that I keep going back to, where I was incorporating lots of different things and added little notes of colour. So I tried to do that. This is a tree that's just down the road. I think this is one of my granddad's flowers, and that's just a traffic sign that's down again, just down the end of the road. But together, I don't know, it could tell a story. This is Gudetama. Now, I'm a huge Gudetama fan. This little, I think it's Sanrio, the Hello Kitty people. He's just a lazy little egg. I just relate to that some days, This is also, I think I've shared these before, but the artist studies that I did, it's not something that I've done an awful lot of in the past, but I thought I'd give it a go this month. Again, just getting fatigued with figure. I wanted to do something else, so this is Mike Mignola. So a couple of Hellboys. They didn't work out all too well, but it was just a case of practicing, I'm not trying to do something perfect. Another artist study. This is Yoji Shinkawa, the guy behind a lot of the Metal Gear Solid concept art, who I liked as a kid. One of the few artists that I really admired as a teenager. This is a no reference sketch that I did. So that's something else that started happening around February. I'd been doing so many studies, so much, again, like I keep saying, figure work, portrait work, dipping my toe into doing watercolour and trying to do different things. I was feeling the pull to go back to something that was more The kind of thing that I used to do as a kid, the thing that I've done for such a long time, which is these sort of like no reference things. So it was a bit of a journey to try and turn that switch on in my brain again. We're just having fun, seeing where things go. Usually start off with a face, and then it tends to trail off. She's got some sort of goldfish in her chest for some reason. And I do go through a phase of doing these sort of like dryad type forest people, I suppose. These half veined, not veined, what they call vines. You know, a bit viney, a bit flowery, a bit leafy, a little bit sinister in her case. And then this is the beginnings of something that I'm doing a bit more of this month, which is no reference figure. Trying to figure out poses. Just starting at the head and seeing where things go. Seeing what I've learned over this past couple of months. Seeing what's stuck. Some cats. These are just from Pinterest, I believe. Some landscapes from. So these are relatively local photos from like winter. Not of anything particularly interesting, but I kind of like that, the sort of mundanity of certain scenes. Playing around with detail against no detail. Another no reference page. And another. Quite happy with this chap. This is Ashley Wood, another artist who I admired as a teenager. Well, still do, you know. Crowd scenes. I feel like it's something that's been on my mind for so long. I keep dipping my toe into it and I'm not really sticking with it. Now these are just from walking videos, you know, those YouTube videos where it's just people with a camera walking around a city. I think it's probably, I tend to go Tokyo, London, New York, just like busy cities. So I think this one's Tokyo and this one might be London. Just stop in, you know, put the video on, fast forward a little bit, pause it. If it looks decent enough to draw, I'll then attempt to draw it. This is from Akira, just from the graphic novels. No reference. A couple more crowds. And I feel like it's something I want to practice more because backgrounds are usually a bit of a sticking point for me. I feel like I'm okay at drawing people now, or like a silhouette of a person, but it's things like buildings and symmetry and architecture and those little details that I tend to just quickly put a couple of lines down to hint at it and then not really like go too deep on that. So that's something I want to work on. Some more no reference. Again, trying to do something a bit bigger with the no reference things. Actually have it be a scene or a character instead of just random faces. And I've slowly got back into the idea of doing like more sci-fi or concept-y type people. I feel like they're quite messy and I'm not... It's difficult with brush pen for me still to get a certain level of detail that I might want. But it's fun to just build up shapes. I'm not necessarily trying to do anything. It's just an aimless doodle in a lot of ways. So in January I was doing this thing where I had to put a wash, quite a thick wash, on some watercolour paper, and then try and add some panels over the top of it. So that was just, it doesn't necessarily mean anything. I just wanted to do something that wasn't people, you know. Even though a skull is kind of a person, I suppose. Some more scenes, again with that wash. I like this one. I like how the yellowy, mustardy with a little shot of blue comes down. And then there's like this. Yeah, I kind of want to do more of this, I suppose. Just like really simple with some texture and some colour. This feels a bit busy to me, and it's a bit, blah, you know, whatever that means. More no reference things. It's funny, I was getting a lot of compliments, so I do, as most of you probably have seen and know, I do drawing videos for Reels and TikToks. And this one was really popular. But it's funny, I don't really like it. That's always the case. It's always the case. The things that I find that I'm really happy with never really, you know, take off. Another Croquet Cafe. This is Astrid. A model who I seem to draw a lot of. You know, I think it's because her name's quite, you know, it's obviously A. But yeah, got a lot of. There's a save. This isn't an advert for Croquet Cafe, by the way, but there's like a save feature. And I did initially when I first signed up for it again. I wanted to go through the alphabet, and I did it for a little while. But yeah, I've got a lot of people who begin with A. I tend to have a lot of their their photos saved. So they do crop up a lot. Again, this is me trying to experiment with crowds again. I kind of like it. I liked it a lot more until I had started adding this bottom layer. But it's okay. Here's the Moocher. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I did look it up. But yeah, anyway, I'm sure someone will tell me if I'm not. But yeah, this is me just throwing a little bit of watercolour down. It's not incredibly neat. I thought it'd be quite fun to film myself doing it. I kind of wish I hadn't done that because I feel like I would have taken my time a little bit more. But anyway, it is what it is. It looks all right. So, as is always the case with anything that I do, people ask me about the pen. So I did a few drawings with my finger and ink. And I think it's still a little bit, it has stained my finger a little bit. And that was weeks ago now. But yeah, it was just an experiment with that. Put down a bit of water and then just use my finger to draw. I remember being really happy with this one. A little bit wonky, the hairs, you know, there's going to be problems with everything. I think overall it has try and think of the words, you know. I don't really like using the word energy, but it has something about it, you know. And it's nice to see fingerprints, I think. It's a nice little, it adds a bit of texture. And then I tried to do something similar, but it didn't quite work out. Went a bit overboard, you know. But anyway, that's seems to be the last one that I've got. So, yeah, hopefully that was entertaining. Probably isn't the right word, but you know, I like to do these. For whatever reason, these videos seem to do better than anything else that I tend to put up. Now, how many more videos there'll be, I'm not sure. So, I'm having to look for work, more regular work. For the past 4 years nearly, I've been freelance, but for the past year, it's not been the easiest to find work, regardless of the emails that I spam to agencies and creative directors and whoever else, you know. Nothing seems to be coming back. So I've reached the stage where I don't really have much money left and I'm having to find work. Maybe I'll find something part-time. That's the hope. I don't necessarily want to give up on art. I'll never stop drawing. But the one thing that I might give up on is YouTube. It was never my plan to become a YouTuber, and I'm certainly not one now. It was just nice to have somewhere where I can explain what I do for people who ask questions. So yeah, I don't know. I'm sure I'll do another video again at some point, but it might not be a regular thing. The whole fact that I've not done one of these for a couple of weeks is because I've just been busy filling out applications, writing my CV, getting things together, getting things in order, still trying to drum up a bit of work in the meantime. So yeah, ending on a bit of a downer, but everything's fine. You know, I'm sure it'll be fine. And the other thing I have started doing, which you might be interested in, is mentoring. So if you'd like to, you know, have a session with me where we can go through your sketchbook and go through your process and maybe your practice routines and things like that, certainly do get in touch via my website or email or social media, and we'll set something up. I am going to be doing a video today with more details about that, so you know, look out for that. But I don't know, maybe that'll become a thing, maybe that'll pay the bills, and in which case that will free me up to do more videos, and maybe I'll be able to even get myself a better camera, get myself a better equipment, and make these, you know, more worthwhile. But anyway, again, a bit of a downer, but everything's fine. Everything will be fine. But I think it's worth saying that, you know, they might be a bit more sporadic from now on. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. And yeah, I'll see you around, you know. Bye. Thank you.